Welcome, Mr. Wahlberg here. You just finished your planet project. I wanted to go through a few characteristics that I think are unique to these planets. You may or may not have already seen these things, but a little extra review never hurts. First of all, we're going to go through the inner planets first, the first four, which in general have these characteristics. You may or may not have known that as you went through that, but definitely something to keep in mind as we understand the difference between the inner and the outer planets. That, of course, first planet is Mercury. Very, very similar to our moon. Not really any real atmosphere to speak of. Very extreme temperatures between day and night. Obviously going to be very hot when the sun's on it, but very, very cold when the sun's not. Next planet out after that is Venus. Carbon dioxide gas, very dense, very hot, and does spin backward. Third planet out, of course, is our favorite Earth. Interesting facts, of course, the majority of the planet is water. Interesting thing, it's the only substance that exists naturally in all three states, a solid, liquid, and gas. You can find that on the planet. That's the only substance on Earth that does naturally exist that way. Very nice atmosphere, not too thick like Venus, not too thin like Mars. Interesting enough, most people think oxygen's the prominent gas. Actually, there's more nitrogen than anything else. The last inner planet is, of course, Mars. Definitely known for its reddish color here. Basically, the rocks are made out of iron, and the planet has rusted. Iron oxide. We'll talk more about that with weathering. The planet has rusted. Also does have polar ice caps. That's a unique characteristic about the planet. You can obviously see one right there. We get to the outer planets. These are the gas giants. Very big. Mostly nothing but gas. They all have lots of moons. They all have rings. And they, of course, are cold because they're much farther away from the sun. First outer planet is Jupiter. Jupiter is kind of known for being the big giant planet. It's got the most moons. It's the densest. It's got the greatest gravitational pull. I mean, everything about this is big. One of the big thing I want to point out to you is this great red spot. I've mentioned this before. It's this giant swirling gas storm, and about 2.5 Earths they estimate can probably fit into that, just to kind of give you a perspective how big this planet is. Next planet out is Saturn. All the outer planets have rings, but Saturn is definitely known for its ring system because it's obviously got the most. You can sometimes read different numbers on this in terms of how they measure them. I've read usually 5 rings, but sometimes they measure them in really small increments, and they're called ringlets, and there's thousands of them. So I'm not overly worried about the number. It's just understand that Saturn definitely has more rings than any other planet. The last two here are very similar to each other, kind of almost twins of each other, very similar in color and size. Of course, Uranus or Uranus. The methane is the unique factor of what gives it this color, and it's also tilted sideways, completely on its side. Our axis is mostly up and down, a little bit on an angle, but mostly up and down. This one's sideways, and because of that, it's considered a retrograde in how in fact it spins the way it does. And that, of course, leaves us with Neptune. Again, very similar to Uranus with the fact it's this bluish-green color from the methane. But the unique factor is, of course, Pluto. Pluto crosses the orbits of Neptune, and quite possibly Pluto could have been a moon of Neptune's at one point. Okay, quiz tomorrow. Hope you are ready. Bye-bye.